inform you of some things that we're doing as a school to make sure that your children have a safe, enjoyable prom. And we also like to give you some solid information to assist in helping the kids make better choices or make great choices. So tonight we have a couple of guest speakers here with us who are going to share that information. From LBPD we have Detective Decker, Detective Spinelli, who are over there on the side. Let's welcome just a moment. We also have Mr. Pat McCormick, who is from New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance, so we'll talk about safety with drunk driving and all that. I also want to make you aware, if you're available to make it on Friday morning, we'll hold our annual How to Save a Life program. That happens right out here in the main parking lot, or the parking lot here closest to the classroom area. Parents are certainly welcome to attend. It's a one-of-a-kind program that we love to put on for the students, and it shows a reenactment of what could happen in the event that somebody was in an accident or a fatal accident based on drunk driving. It's really powerful, sends out a fantastic message. It's put on by our Teen Tap program, which is students helping their own fellow peers and demonstrating. It's a live performance, a really cool performance. If you get a chance to come, you're more than welcome, and I think that you'll enjoy it and understand how serious we are about making sure the kids come to the prom, have a great time, but they're safe and good. Okay? So with that said, I'm going to turn the program over to Ms. Catalano, our student assistant counselor.
Hi everybody, how are you doing tonight? Good. Thank you for coming out. I know it's hard with work and everything else that's going on. So tonight's program has 3 different components. We have Ms. Richelieu who's going to talk to you about prom policies and what we expect of our students and your children. And then we also have LBPD, like Ms. Richelieu said, Detective Decker and Spinelli, to talk to you about post liability, what happens before and after prom. After that, we will have a really quick program called Share the Keys with Pat McCormick that will kind of go into the details about driver safety, distracted drowsy, and drunk driving. We'll try to get you out of here by 6:30. Any questions that you have about your student, your child with substance abuse or mental health or anything that concerns you, feel free to reach out to me. I have a brochure right here. That's basically it, right?
Yep.
So, our prom goals and expectations.
All right, so to go over, for our expectations for the students, and I'm going to meet with all the students to explain this all to them. We'll meet with them during Park Week, which we have coming up in about 8 or 9 days. I'll meet with them during that week to explain it all to them. But on the night of the prom, here's what you can expect. As the students enter, we have a couple of safeguards in place. One, we have random bag checks. So the students are made aware ahead of time that their bags are subject to search. This way, if they are intending on bringing or sneaking something in with them, they know that actually the bag checks are not random. Every student that comes in with a bag gets a bag check as they come in. Again, to try and persuade them to understand that we're not going to allow them to have anything with them that's going to be dangerous or something that they're, potentially would affect their after prom. The other thing that we do, we have a random breathalyzer. So as students enter, we set a number, we say, okay, every 4th student, every 5th student, whatever number we choose it on that night, and they're subject to random breathalyzers. What that doesn't mean, though, it doesn't mean that they can come in under the influence and then not expect to be breathalyzed. If we suspect that as they come in the door that they're potentially under the influence, again, we will breathalyze them. And it also impacts everybody that traveled with them. So the limo of students came together. One of the students is suspected is under the influence. Then we test the whole limo. And so bottom line for that, again, the message to the students is, come have a great time, but we're not going to allow you to be under the influence in doing so. Students are told this all up front. We make sure that we tell them that our goal for them is to have that safe, enjoyable prom. And bottom line is, we do have a responsibility as a school to make sure that your children are safe. So we take that very seriously. In the event that one of the students is under the influence, what will happen from that point forward is we will contact you as the parent, and then we would ask that you come and pick your child up. We wouldn't even let them go home from that point other than handing them over to you. Okay? In the event that we can't get a hold of somebody, we have done it before where we've had them transported to the hospital for testing and everything. That's happened on one occasion in my 7 years. But bottom line is, we don't want it to happen. We're hoping that the students take our message seriously. We're certainly not trying to take away from the fun of their prom, but again, our goal as a school is to make sure they're safe. So those are really the expectations in terms of behavior, just general behavior. Students are expected to come have a great time. If they have any discipline issues, same kind of thing applies. We would contact the parent, and they would be asked to go home for the prom. Okay? So any questions on any of that information as far as what we're doing as the school? Okay, awesome. Turn it over to Executive Secretary.
How's everyone doing? I have to use the microphone. My voice is a little shot right now. My allergies are acting up. Me and Detective Troy Simonelli work with the youth, Long Range. We've been doing it for about 11 years. And today I just want to speak to you a little bit on what's called host liability. This refers to any sort of pre or post-prom party that you may intend on having and what your responsibilities are to the people that come to the party. So in the state of New Jersey, as the parent of a child, you are permitted to serve alcohol to your own child in your house. That being said, if you have a child who comes to your pre-prom party or party, you cannot serve alcohol to that other child. You are not their guardian at that party, and you cannot do it. There is criminal charges associated with it, and you are responsible for that child when it leaves your party as well. So, if you're having a party and you want to invite all the other parents of the kids at your party, and in their presence and with their permission, they give you the ability to serve them alcohol, that actually is not against the law. But those parents have to stay there the entire time. They have to be there with the kids the entire time. And I don't know how many, I went to a couple of proms. I didn't want all the parents there at the same time I was there. But it's not just as simple as, it's my kid and I'm gonna do what I want. You're responsible from that drink served, when they go to the prom, till after the prom. Your liability, again, can be a criminal charge. Really where this comes into play is civil liability. If something happens with your child, and something happens as a result of the drinks that were served to them, you are, I believe you are punitively responsible up to $350,000 for each victim that will be caused of an incident involving your child due to the consumption of alcohol. Again, the criminal charge, I believe, is a disorderly person's offense. But again, at the end of the day, everyone's really concerned is the safety of the children and their ability to attend the prom safely. There's really not much more to that except that you are responsible for every child that comes to your party or comes to the party and stays at your home and responsible for what happens there. Any questions? All right, fair enough.
Before I turn it over to Pat McCormick, if you have not signed in, just come and sign in at some point and take the program. Thank you. So without further ado, Pat. Anybody who's on this side might want to move so you can see the screen.
You've got the screens right here, guys, so you might, can't see it from there. All right, guys, how we doing tonight? All right, it's prom time. This program is really about safe driving. I'm going to go over some things regarding drinking and driving as I kind of go through this to tie it into prom a little bit. How many students here, or how many parents that are here have students that still are on their permit, driver permit? All right, cool. How many are already on their base, or get through the permit process and have a regular basic license? Okay. All right, this program really kind of gets into more the people that are still in the permit. However, safety-wise, this program pertains to anybody and everybody, including parents, okay? So I'm going to go over a lot of different things. I got a little bit of time, so I'm going to kind of go through it fairly quickly. If anybody has any questions or anything at the end of this, come up and talk to me, okay? As mentioned at the beginning of the program, my name is Pat McCormick. I'm a safety consultant with NJM Insurance. So what I do is I go around to high schools, talk to kids and parents. We also do a teen driver safety program. I've been to your high school for the last 4 years. I've talked to your kids when they were sophomores. And you got a really, really great group of kids here. I always really enjoy coming to this school. They're really, really good kids. Some of you guys might remember me. I'm the NJM guy who goes around, throws around those foam cars. Anybody remember the foam cars they gave around in class? All right, I'm not going to do that tonight though. All right, so tonight, we're going to go over the Share the Keys program, and it's really about the parents tonight, probably more than anything, to help the kids out. That's what this is really all about. All right, so we're going to talk about being a role model. You are a role model, you're here. That speaks a lot about who you are to begin with. All right, we're going to talk about the GDL law a little bit because some of you are still involved in that permit process and the GDL law can be extremely confusing. So I'm going to go over that. We're going to talk about controlling the keys. Probably a good idea to know where your children are going and kind of not letting them have access to that car entirely. You should kind of be like, hey, where are you going? Ask for permission to use the car. All right, and anybody on that permit process, really, we're going to talk a lot about practice driving because guess what? Driving, like everything else, practice makes perfect, okay? Driving's no different. No different at all. All right, and support the GDL. All right, so here's the deal across the United States as far as crashes, all right? Highest crash risk between 18 and 24 months. The first year and a half to 2 years, that's the highest risk time for young drivers. So even if you have seniors that are through the permit process, guess what? They're still in that area. Problem. Leading cause of death for teens across the United States, 15 to 19 years old, is car crashes. It's ridiculous, but let me tell you, that's what's killing our kids. Car crashes. All right. Nearly 550 kids over the last 10 years were killed. All right. Unfortunately for me, I saw some of that happen. I was a cop for 25 years. I'm a retired lieutenant from West Windsor Police down in Mercer County. I saw it happen. Quite a few of the incidents that I was involved in when I was a cop involved teenagers. I had to go show up at a parent's house and sit that parent down and explain to them that their son or daughter died in a car crash that day. And let me tell you something, the toughest thing I ever had to do was that, hands down. It was a bad day. Part of this is avoiding that, all right? It shouldn't happen, it shouldn't happen. All right, back in 2009, CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, did a study. And the study basically figured out that guess who was the biggest advocate and the biggest influence on their child when they start driving a car? Mom and dad. Mom, dad, guardian. Okay, that's who's going to have the biggest impact on the child during that driving process. So CHOP, when they did the study, they found out that parents generally fell into 4 different groups, and the groups were these. First group they found out, they categorized them. First one, little active support. Parents set few rules, and they didn't monitor. Basically, the attitude was kids will be kids, you learn from your mistakes. Probably not the best way to go about helping your child how to learn how to drive. Because guess what? That first mistake when driving, that roadway can be extremely unforgiving. So this pretty much not the best, they figured out wasn't the best way to go about it. Other parents fell into this category. Lots of support, few rules, trusting more than monitoring. I'll trust you'll do the right thing. Well, some of you in this room probably have children that excel. They excel at school, they excel at sports, they excel at extracurricular activities like band, music, whatever they do. These kids are like at the top of the class. And a lot of times parents fall into this trap. They think, you know what? Hey, my kid's good at everything they do. You know what? They're going to be a great driver no matter what. And that's not necessarily true. Just because your kid, really your child, has their act together in school and they do a lot of things that they really excel at, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to, out of the gate, become a good driver. It takes years to become a good driver. Where we see people become really good defensive drivers between 20 and 21 years old. And the reason why I say that is because between 20, what's going on now? Between 20 and 21 years old, all right, that child has a lot of time behind the wheel. Hours and hours and hours behind the wheel by the time they're 20 to 21. Before that, up until they're 20 to 21, they're still learning how to drive the car. So parents and seniors who are through that process right now as far as permit process, your child's still involved in really learning how to drive the car effectively. All right, so another category they found, little support, setting many rules, closely monitoring. Basically, you'll do as I say. This model probably better than the other two, but not the best one. These parents were kind of authoritative, kind of laid the law down, all right? Nothing wrong with that, but probably this next category, what they found was the best one. All right, providing lots of support, setting rules, closely monitoring. Basically, I'll care and I'll give you the freedoms you earn, but for safety-related issues, you'll do as I say. So there's a parent who's really kind of on top of what's going on, all right? They pay attention to what their child's doing. They're actively involved. They set rules, and they kind of make sure the rules are being followed, all right? And CHOP, when they finished the study, they figured out that particular model was the most effective one. All right, so here's what the study really found. Parents really do matter. Parents are the biggest key to that child's success when driving that car. All right, so here's what we found. We found that parents that set rules and monitored, all right, and gave a lot of support, kids were half as likely to crash. 71% less likely to drive intoxicated, and we're going to talk more about that tonight. All right, 30% less likely to use a cell phone in the car. Cell phone, second leading cause of crashes for teens across the United States. All right, they also found twice as likely to wear a seatbelt. That seatbelt is the biggest thing that's going to save you in a crash. That seatbelt is paramount. All right, today we've had seatbelt laws for about, what, going on 30 years? And we still have people dying in car crashes in this country every day. And the reason why they die? They failed to put a seatbelt on. The biggest problem with the seatbelt today? Backseat passengers, guys. This isn't just about driving a car. This is about being in the car, period. Most people who don't have a seatbelt on, most of them are sitting in the back seat. That car is a very unforgiving environment. It's made up of a lot of hard stuff, right? Glass, plastic, metal. Your body comes in contact with that at a high rate of speed. It's going to be a problem. All right, wearing a seatbelt is extremely important. As a matter of fact, 56% of the kids who died in car crashes over the last several years, 56%, over half the kids who died, guess what they weren't wearing? No seatbelt. All right, twice as likely to believe the seatbelt's effective. What the parent does matters. If you're throwing the seatbelt on every time you get in that car, no matter where you sit in the car, most likely your child's going to do the same thing. If you're kind of like, it's no big deal, it doesn't matter what I say or anybody else says. It matters what you say and do, which you guys know. I mean, you know that. All right, speed half as often. Speeding. One of the biggest killers. About 33% of the teenagers who died in car crashes over the last several years, 33% of them were found to be driving too fast. When somebody dies in a car crash, there's a major investigation that goes on. All right, any fatal investigation, a team of experts come in, they pick that crash scene apart, and they take a lot of pictures, they take video, they take measurements, they pick that whole thing apart, and they figure out why that crash happened. 33% of the time, the teens, too fast. They're driving too fast. The point is this is what I want you to know. Seatbelt on, speed down. The likelihood is when you're involved in a crash, you're going to walk away from that crash with either very minor or no injury at all. High speed, no seatbelt, the likelihood is somebody's going to get hurt really bad, or they're going to potentially lose their life in that car crash. Nobody should be dying in car crashes, but it happens every day. All right, your kids start when they start driving a car, that's when they started really driving the car here. That's when they started paying attention to what you were doing as a parent. As soon as they went into that forward-facing child safety seat, they started to pay attention to what mom and dad are doing. All right, and that's when they started to learn. It doesn't mean it's too late to change behaviors that can get us in trouble. All right, so what do we want to do? We definitely want to buckle up, talk about that. We want to avoid distractions. Let's talk about the biggest distraction in the car. One of the second biggest distraction in the car today for teenagers. It's right here. All right, cell phone. Everybody's got one, right? Cell phone. Second biggest distraction in that car today. This is causing more problems than you can shake a stick at. I have twin girls. They're going to be 20 years old next month. When my kids started driving a car, this thing scared the heck out of me. My kids, here's my kids, right? Still today. They got their first cell phone, 6th grade. Everywhere they go, my kids got that cell phone with them. This is what it looks like. They got it in their back jean pocket, hanging out like this. Everywhere they go, that phone goes with them. My kids will not go from the bathroom, from their bedroom to the bathroom without the cell phone with them. I knew as a dad, I was still a cop when my kids were learning how to drive a car. As a dad, I knew if that cell phone was out and accessible when they were driving, this is what was going to happen. You can drive down the road, 2 hands on the wheel, doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? Phone goes off, either it blinks or your ear go off. This is what they're going to do. They're going to pick it up and they're going to look at it. They pick the phone up and look at it when they're driving that car, especially as inexperienced drivers, could get them hurt. Get them hurt bad, could get them killed. Could get somebody else hurt, could get them hurt bad or die. It's unnecessary. Nobody needs to be messing around with that cell phone when they're driving a car. Today, cell phones. This is what I told my kids. First they just start driving a car on a permit. Take the phone, silence it, or turn it off all the way, put the phone in the center console, put it in the glove box, close it up. It's not there. Out of sight, out of mind. You got to get from point A to point B, no phone. Today there's apps you guys can get. You go in the app section in your phone, okay? For $1 up to, I think the highest one is $14, you guys could apply for an app that will shut that phone down automatically as soon as the car starts to move. That phone is a very kind of a technical thing, you know, it has GPS in it. All right, that satellite, the app's gonna hook you up to a satellite. As soon as that car starts to move, guess what? This phone's gonna get turned off. It's going to send a message to the person who's texting or or trying to get them on the phone as a phone call. It's going to send a message to the person who's driving a car right now. They'll get in touch with you when they're done driving. All right, good stuff, right? Good stuff. All right. All right. Real quick, other distractions in the car. Cell phone's number 2. The number 1 distraction in that car today, hands down, is for kids, other passengers in the car. Number 1 cause of crashes for teenagers is other people in the car. All right, on that GDL, if your student, your child, and this thing is.
Sorry, Pat.
Let's do that one. If your child, you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me? Is that things making me crazy? All right. Your child has too many people in the car, it's causing a lot of problems. Kids are getting, I'm going to show you a video. It's going to show you some things. I saw it happen. I knew me when I was a teenager back in 1984 when I got my license. 1984, I get my license. 2 of my best friends got into horrific crashes. You know why? There's about 6 kids in the car. It's too much distraction for these young kids. That's why that graduated license, all right, really restricts how many people you can have in the car. You can have 1, unless there's a parent guardian in the car. I'm going to go over the restrictions in a minute, but a lot of this stuff, simple stuff, but I want you to know it makes a big difference. All right, follow the speed limit. We talked about speed. Higher speed, more force and energy will be involved in the crash. The more force and energy involved in the crash, the greater the likelihood somebody's going to get hurt bad, or somebody's going to die. Speed down, seatbelt on, most likely you're going to walk away from that crash with either very minor injury or no injury at all. Okay, that's what we want to have happen. Statistically, you guys will be involved in about 4 crashes in your lifetime. It's not a question of if the crash is going to happen, it's a question of when. Guess what? You don't know when. You don't know what time of day, you don't know when it's going to happen. I'm 51 years old. I've been involved in 5 crashes so far. I never knew when it was going to happen. They just did. I walked away from all 5 of my crashes. 2 of them were bad, really bad. I walked away from all 5 of my crashes. I never got hurt at all. I walked away from all my crashes in the same condition I'm in right now. And that's what I want to have happen to you, and I want to have happen to your kids. They got to survive. There's no reason for somebody dying in a crash and walking away crippled for the rest of their life. It shouldn't happen. All right, aggressive driving. Got to chill out on that, mom and dad, you know. You got to keep our heads. Kids, you got to keep your heads. I saw incidents when I was a cop. Nothing more than somebody probably accidentally just cut somebody off, didn't mean to do it. Next thing you know, what happens? The horn starts going, right? Next thing you know, there's some verbalizations. Some words are being exchanged. Next thing you know, there's some nonverbal hand gestures being exchanged. We have this one incident right there. If you guys know where Quaker Ridge Mall is, not too far from here. Quaker Ridge Road, somebody cuts somebody off, follows them to a parking lot. One car follows the other one. Somebody pulls out a 9mm handgun, puts 6 rounds into the car. If somebody had been sitting in the passenger seat of that vehicle, they would have died. By the grace of God, the driver of that car did not get hit. I don't know how. The car was riddled with bullets. It was all over a silly, somebody cut somebody off. You don't know who's out on the roads, okay? Some of these people are knuckleheads. Some of these people are not the best people. And they will do things that are outrageous. You don't know who you're dealing with out on that roadway. Keep your head, let them go, give room, let them go. Let them go, it's not worth it, okay? It's just not worth it. All right, drive responsibly, that's where we're at next. All right, controlling the keys. Don't think it's a great idea. And I did this with my kids, I think it worked good. You know, wherever they were going somewhere, really up until recently, they're 20 now. So at some point, you gotta kind of let go. But definitely when they were in high school, there was no way my kids were just gonna grab the keys, jump in the car, and go wherever they wanted. I needed to know what was going on there. So a simple conversation really, really goes a long way. There's really 3 key questions, right? They're easy. Number 1, where you going? Number 2, who you going with? Number 3, what time are you going to be home? Believe it or not, 2 of those 3 simple questions really support your graduated license. All right, so anybody who's on that permit still, all right, it really kind of sends a message to your child, hey, listen, I want to know what you're doing. I want to know where you're going, who you're going with, and what time you're going to be home. That graduated license, 2 of the biggest things that's going to keep your child safe, all right, is how many people are in that car, who are you going with. They come back and, hey, I'm going with Billy, Bobby, Susie, and Johnny. Too many kids, right? If you're talking about what time you're going to be home, I don't know, around midnight. You can't drive on the roadways in New Jersey on a permit after 11 o'clock. 11:01 is the curfew. The reason is 40% of the kids who died in fatal crashes, they died after 9 o'clock at night. Your child's going to be able to drive at night. They want to limit that though, okay? They want to limit how much access they have to the car and what time. As soon as nighttime starts getting later, I'll tell you what, we got a huge problem with drugs and alcohol now. Before I was lieutenant in charge of half the patrol division of West Windsor Police. There was not a day that went by that my officers were not arresting somebody for DWI. Half the time it was drugs, half the time it was alcohol. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing, it's intoxicated driving. The later the night goes on, the more your children are going to be exposed to that kind of situation out on the roadway. You don't want to get, especially inexperienced drivers, being exposed to that kind of situation, all right? 11 o'clock curfew, believe me, better idea. All right, permit requirements real quick. Most of you guys already know about this, so I'm just going to go over it real quick. All right, 16 years old, you can get your first permit. You have to get through that written test. You have to have permission by the parents. You do have to go through that behind the wheel training. All right, and unfortunately that does cost some money. So not everybody goes for that option. It doesn't matter. That does give you an extra time to drive, an extra 6 months. You have to drive at least 6 months supervised. All right, by mom, dad, you already get somebody who has to supervise you in that car. All right, the examination permit. All right, you can get at 17, you don't have to go through behind the wheel, so it doesn't cost you any money to go behind the wheel. You get it at 17 years old, you got to drive for 6 months on that permit, all right, before you can go to DMV and get the probationary license. Probationary license, all right, you have to be 17 years old, you have to pass, obviously, that written test, then you got to go to motor vehicle. You have to pass the test to get the permit, but you have to go to motor vehicle and pass the road test. Right, that's where that parallel parking and all that comes in. And as long as you get through that, right, you get your probationary license. And you're going to be on that for 1 year. Some of your kids, a lot of you are probably still on that right now. Excuse me, on that right now. All right, then it comes down to the basic license. If your child is on the probationary license, it doesn't automatically turn over into that basic license. You have to go to motor vehicle and get it switched over. So all the rules that apply, I'm going to go over them in a second. All the rules that apply, the curfew at 11 o'clock at night, the restriction of no more than one passenger unless you got a parent or guardian in the car, all that stuff stays in play until you go back to DMV and get it switched over to the basic license. Why does New Jersey make you go back to DMV to switch it over? What's New Jersey want? They want money. They want their money. Okay? So it's unfortunate, but you got to go back and do it. If you don't do that, it will stay, all the rules will apply to your child on that probationary license. So even though they're 18 and they already went through a year of probationary license, if they still have that probationary license, they didn't get it switched, if they get stopped because they're driving after 11 o'clock at night or they got more than one person in the car with them, they can get a ticket for that. Any ticket regarding the GDL is $100. Where do we want to keep our money? This is where I want you to keep your money. I want you to keep it in your pocket. The court system doesn't need it, and neither do the insurance companies. And guess what? I was a cop, I was involved in the court system, and I work for an insurance company now, too. I don't want you to be giving your money away more to insurance and more to the court system. All right, license restrictions, real quick. Once again, 1101. All right, the only exceptions are religious reasons and if you work. Some of these kids might work until 11 o'clock at night. It doesn't mean they have to give their job up so they can be home by 11 o'clock. The employer has to write a letter, or if it's a religious event, the religious official would have to write a letter, their name, all their information, whether it's a church, whether it's a business, they have to write down who they are, how to get in contact with them. It has to be signed on the letter. If your child, let's say they work, let's say they work at a McDonald's until 11 o'clock at night. If they're driving home, let's say it's quarter after 20 after 11, they're almost home. The police officer pulls them over. As long as they produce that letter, all right, show them, hey, I was working at McDonald's until 11 o'clock. It's, the work exception. Officer, no problem. The officer will take down all the information, and they will probably follow up the next day with the employer. Believe it or not, I think sometimes people lie to cops. Okay, they do. So the officer's probably going to follow up and talk to the employer or the religious official the next day, as long as, hey, yeah, you know what? John works for me, no problem. We stopped him late before, no big deal. That's the exception. All right, passengers in the car. The biggest thing that's causing these kids to have problems, I'm telling you, as far as distraction goes, passengers, no more than one passenger. Now, there's two exceptions. Mom and dad are in the car, you can have as many people in the car you want because it really helps out that practice driving. If you're going somewhere as a family, it allows that to happen, right? So that's good. There's a lot of misconceptions about dependents. Here's what a dependent is. It's not somebody who's babysitting for somebody else's child. It's not nieces, nephews, cousins. A dependent child is if your child has a child. It's their child. Okay, that's what dependent is. So, if your child has children, let's say they have 2 children, they can transport them legally in that car more than one person. Okay? If they're watching their nieces, nephews, cousins, brothers, and sisters, let me tell you something. Brothers and sisters are the biggest problem, right? Who's more annoying in the world than a brother or sister? All right, I have a younger brother. He's 2 years younger than me. He's a New Jersey State Trooper now. My brother was the most annoying individual I could ever come across when I was a teenager. When I was 17, he was 50, and he was a pain in the neck. So putting too many kids in that car, siblings, probably one of the most dangerous things we can do for our kids, right? Because brothers and sisters are going to know what buttons to push. And that's not good when you're driving a car, right? So that's why I have more than one passenger, guys. Seatbelts, we talked about that. Cell phones, we talked about that. Really, you're not allowed any electronic devices. All right, so no laptop computers, no iPods, nothing like that. I highly recommend against the GPS that cannot use Bluetooth, right? Mom and Dad, you can use Bluetooth. Quite honestly, they're doing studies on Bluetooth right now and showing that that is distracting, even to adults. Right? When I get in the car, I just drive the car. As a safety guy, there's things that are legal, things that are not legal. I'm worried about what keeps people safe. All right? Talking to somebody on the phone on Bluetooth, not the most safest thing to do. Kids on the probationary license, they can't do it, all right? One of the worst crashes I ever saw, car radio, right? Worst crashes I ever saw about 24 years ago. Kids driving down the road, he's doing one of these, you know, he should have been doing this, 2 hands on the wheel, paying attention to where he was going. He's driving down the road, gets a new stereo in his car over the weekend. Monday morning, he's driving to Mercer County College. When he's driving to Mercer County College, he should have been paying attention to what he was doing, but here's what he was doing. He's paying attention to the radio because it was a cool new toy in the car. So he's going like this, he's driving like this, he's playing with the radio, his focus is on the radio, doesn't realize it, but he's moving that wheel a little bit to the left. Guess what happens? His car moves to the left. He puts his car right to the front of a fully loaded dump truck going about 60 miles an hour. When I arrived on the scene, I found that first-year college student laying in the middle of Old Trenton Road. He was ejected from his car. When I did the investigation, I figured out 2 things. Number one, he was playing with the car radio because the dump truck driver told me, he says, "Officer, last thing I saw was he ran into my car, I could see right to his car. Last thing I saw was his left hand was on the wheel, his head was down, and his right hand was where the radio was. That's the last thing I saw as he ran into the front of my car." He says, "Officer, hit my horn for my air horn on my truck. Hit it for about 4 to 5 seconds prior to the crash happening. I could see him about 100 yards away. I could see him coming into my lane. I moved over as far as I could. He kept coming at me. I'm hitting my horn for 4 to 5 seconds. Officer, how come he never looked up? How come he never looked up? Couldn't hear outside the car, guys. Radio. He had, back in the 90s when this crash happened, he had 2 speakers in the car about this big. And I bet you they worked really good. But it didn't allow him to hear outside the car. 2 things killed this really awesome kid. He was playing with the radio, should have been paying attention to what he was doing, right? Our kids should be doing nothing. We should be doing nothing when we drive that car. 2 hands on the wheel, pay attention. It's that easy. That's all this kid should have been doing to be alive today. If he was distracted for some reason, and he heard that horn on the truck, and he looked up and realized what was going on, he would have plenty of time to avoid the crash, but he didn't. When that crash was over, I had to go to this kid's house, and I had to sit his mom and dad down and explain to them that their 18-year-old son died in a crash. His father was a friend of mine. You guys ever want to see a horror show? You go to somebody's house and you knock on their door, and you sit them down and you explain to them that their son or daughter died in a crash, and you will see a horror show. Trust me. It's all wood. My kid should be alive today. And he was a great kid. Great kid. His future was special. Right. The GDL decals are supposed to have these 2 little red stickers on the front and back bumper. The reason for that is it gives law enforcement to stop the problem before there's tragedy strikes. I told you, the biggest distraction is too many kids in the car, right? If the officer sees those stickers on the car and they recognize, hey, that's a probationary driver and they got 5 kids in the car, they have the ability to stop them and stop a bigger problem from happening. The officer can write a ticket for $100 for that violation. Here's what I used to do. I was never a big ticket guy. As a matter of fact, I hated tickets. But, you know, as part of the job or whatever. Here's what I would do. I'd get the kids pulled into a parking lot somewhere safe. Okay? Find out what was going on, and we start making phone calls to mom and dad. All right? We got parents come out and pick the kids up. I can't let them go down the road knowing that that is putting them in the greatest peril that you can put them in. Too many kids in the car on that probationary license. All right? Mom and dad come out in their pajamas to pick them up in the 7-Eleven parking lot. Probably not going to happen again, right? Because parents don't want to be inconvenienced. But, you know, just telling you, by law, you are required to have those decals, plea bargaining agreements. Usually when you go to court, the way the court system works, is it's called plea agreements. So let's say you get a 4-point ticket, speeding ticket. Anybody other than kids on a probationary license, you get a 4-point speeding ticket, you can go to court. Usually it's knocked down to 2 points. Sometimes it can be knocked down, let's say it's a 2-point speeding ticket. It can be knocked down to 0 points. It's called unsafe driving. It's going to cost you more money, but it keeps you from getting points on the license. What happens when, especially young people, get points on the license? What happens to the insurance? goes up, right? All right? For kids on a probationary license, they are not able to take that plea agreement for 0 points. All right, it's a 0-point ban for probationary drivers. The court system found out, holy cow, 90% of the people several years ago, about 10 years ago now, 90% of the people who were given that 0-point option were probationary drivers. So the court system said, you know what, this is not, we're not going to do that anymore. So if they go to court, they're not going to have an opportunity to drop that 0 point down. It means you're going to get points on the license. Points on the license, especially for young people, translates into this. Insurance being here, and then it goes to here. Where do we want to keep our money? All right. Practice driving, you guys know this is the biggest thing. Anybody, if you're on that permit, I saw quite a few raise your hand. If you're on the permit, get your kids out there driving a car. All right? Practice makes perfect. Started out low and slow. I started my kids out in the back areas in our neighborhood. Took them out maybe 40-mile-an-hour road. Clear sunny day like this, no traffic. Worked them all the way up to before they were 17. I made sure my kids were out on Garden State Parkway, New Jersey Turnpike. They drove in every kind of weather condition. My kids I had to be sure that my kids were confident and capable of driving that car by themselves. Because New Jersey has its rules. All right, if you get that license, let's say you get that examination license 17, they got to drive to 17 and a half. That means at 18 and a half they can get their driver's license, all right, probationary license. My kids were not going to be allowed to drive on that license, whether they had one or not, if I wasn't sure they were ready to drive. So New Jersey had its time span, Dad had his. So I want your parents to know you can control that. It's not up to your child to stay in New Jersey, it's up to you, okay? And if your child is not ready, if you're not confident that they're ready to drive the car, then don't let them, get them out there and practice drive with you in the car first, okay? Easy stuff. All right, some things you can do. You have to go out and drive for hours at a time. Go out and drive to the store, corner store, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. All that little time really adds up, making a difference. What they're trying to do now is they're trying to get people to drive, these kids to drive 40 hours before they get that.
I remember people texting me and saying, like, did you hear what happened at Sydney? Is it true?
I check Facebook and all of a sudden there's all these like, I love you Sydney, RIPs, and I'm like, what?
So I tried calling her. She didn't answer. I tried calling her mom. Her mom didn't answer. And then finally I drove over to her house and she wasn't there.
It was horrible.
She was the most amazing person that I've ever met.
She's never like that person that like put people in a bad mood. She was always trying to put people in a good mood.
She was one of the best people I know. Her heart was so big. I've never met anybody with a heart as big as hers.
We were working on building a tree house in our backyard, and Sydney very much wanted to be involved and help out. And I'm up on the ladder trying to shingle the tree house, and I'm a little nervous being up there. And Sydney climbs up, and she's laying across the roof, nailing shingles, and she didn't have any fear.
She helped us build our treehouse roof, and I remember seeing her out her windows in the backyard on top of the roof, putting in nails.
And a piece of Sydney that was very unique to her, I think, versus other teenagers, is she still had a very big kid heart.
She was a girl that liked to play, and she liked to ride swings with me.
We had talked about going to the pumpkin festival, and I told her that I wanted to go. And she was like, yeah, I want to go too.
She runs down steps, she's got her bag, and she's like, okay, I'm going to Vicky's house, love you, see you tomorrow. I said, okay, not knowing that was going to be
the last time she ever spoke to me.
That night they were heading back from Pumpkin Farm, and they were heading down the highway, and Joe, the passenger, was looking at his cell phone, and he felt the car jerk. It hit on the other side of the grassy median and flipped the car over.
I was very close to hitting the car myself, so I kind of closed my eyes. I think it slammed on my brakes, and that's whenever I got out of the car and saw Joseph jump right out. And I realized that he was searching for Sydney, so that's when I started helping him look for her, and I saw Sydney in the ditch.
At that point, still didn't really have a full grasp of what happened. I just knew that it was a vehicle that crossed the median or somebody had been injected, which me immediately being able to say is that the seatbelt wasn't part of the case.
I started calling hospital after hospital until finally they answered and told me that she was there.
We were using medications for her blood pressure to keep her heart beating. We were using the ventilator to keep her breathing. We finally made it to the emergency room, and when the highway patrol people showed up, and he said she was ejected from the vehicle, she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. I thought, why? Why did she have it on? And then the ER doctor comes in, and he's like, she's very, very sick. She hit her head. We're gonna try to take a swelling out, but where she was hit, it's very unlikely that we're gonna be able to do anything for her.
And then her mom answered the phone at the hospital and told me to come up because she wasn't gonna make it and to come say goodbye.
We knew the whole time that we were at the hospital that we were gonna have to have a conversation with our kids and let them know that she's not coming home. And it was almost like hearing it again, because you're experiencing their brand new grief.
I started crying and I was like crying against my mom and hugging her.
Tremendously. We keep her in our conversations on a daily basis. She's still a very integral part of our lives, even though she's not here.
I miss having fun with her. I miss being friends with her and playing elephants and a lot of stuff like that.
There was still a lot of unanswered questions of why.
A bunch of cops came over and started asking me a bunch of questions like, where were you going, what happened, why did you swerve off the road, and I was just like, I saw her when we were going off the road, she threw her phone.
Start putting everything together and realizing that this is a texting and driving crash. We were able to specifically say it was texting and not anything else.
Learning from this for Sydney, because it affected us as healthcare workers, it affected us as people, it affected us as mothers and aunts and cousins and sisters. This is something that isn't just going to affect you. This is something that it's so formidable. These kids don't need to be so distracted. There's nothing that's important enough that's going to cause you to lose your life. There's not a single thing important enough.
For some reason, she made a bad decision that day. She clearly was touching her phone, and whether it was texting or looking at something on her phone, that caused the accident. And she also made a bad decision not to wear her seatbelt. That's caused her death.
This is a perfect example of people that are impacted by a choice that you make that doesn't seem like a big deal to you. What's the big deal if I don't wear my seatbelt? What's the big deal if I just answer this text really quick? The impact that this type of situation has is exponential.
Joe was a front passenger in the car. He was wearing his seatbelt. He walked away from the collision. Dickie was a passenger in the rear seat. She had the lap belt on, but she had the shoulder belt behind her back.
I broke my arm, I broke my neck, and I broke my back.
For the longest time, I blamed the whole thing on myself. I could have stopped that if I was not on my phone texting my mom.
I don't remember the accident. I don't remember what had happened. I was sorry that I didn't get to tell her bye, or that I loved her, or that she just wasn't going to graduate with us. I was sorry that it even happened.
right. I think we got through all the texting, radios, all that stuff in the car. It's prom season. What's the biggest problem in prom season? Drinking and driving, drugs and driving. It goes up, it's throughout the year, but at prom time, every year we lose kids to drinking and driving during prom season. So I want to go over just a couple things with you guys just to kind of bring it home. First of all, there is such a thing as underage DWI in the state of New Jersey. If your child is under 21 years of age, all high school students, basically most high school students are, okay? You're under 21 years old, you can't drink alcohol and operate a car. You can't have any alcohol in your system whatsoever. You guys know what BAC is, blood alcohol content? 0.01 BAC to 0.07 BAC. If you're under 21, you can be arrested for an underage DWI. If you're arrested and convicted of an underage DWI, you're going to lose your license for up to 90 days. All right? Once you guys get that license, you're never going to want to lose it. What does that mean? It's your freedom. That license is your freedom. If you're over 0.08 BAC, New Jersey, the legal threshold for blood alcohol content to be legally intoxicated in New Jersey, regardless of age, is 0.08. If you're 0.08 or higher, that's a regular DWI. First offense, regular DWI, you'll lose your license for 3 months to 6 months. If you're over a 0.1 BAC, first offense, you're going to lose your license for 7 months. If you think your insurance is high, especially for young people, before a DWI incident, if you have a DWI incident, first of all, most insurance companies will not insure you. If you can get insurance after that DWI incident, it's going to cost you an absolute fortune, thousands and thousands of dollars. If somebody under 21, somebody over 21, doesn't matter. If you drinking and driving is considered to be inherently reckless, so is a cell phone now. If somebody kills somebody in a DWI incident, all right, it is going to put somebody unfortunately is going to a graveyard, and the other person driving the car, if they survive, they're going to go to jail. All right? Secondary crime. If somebody dies in a car crash, DWI incident, secondary crime. Any secondary crime in New Jersey will be somebody in jail for up to 10 years. If the person lives, let's say they get hurt really bad, but they live, they lose an arm or a leg, serious bodily injury, right? I would call losing an arm or a leg serious bodily injury. The court system will determine what's serious bodily injury. If it's considered serious bodily injury, but they live, it's going to be aggravated assault. Aggravated assault's a third-degree crime. It will put somebody in jail for an extended period of time. It will cost you thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's before you get sued civilly. Nothing good comes out of DWI. Prom season, it's higher. Police officers right now in Long Branch and every other town in the state of New Jersey are very, very aware of its prom season, and they're watching out for DWI incidents even more than normal. It's bad enough normal. Prom season, the police are looking for DWI incidents. All right? Police, law enforcement in New Jersey right now has a zero tolerance for DWI, regardless of whether it's drugs or alcohol. If it's drugs, all right, they're going to go through the same procedure as if it's for alcohol, and then they're going to do a couple extra things. Believe me, nobody's getting off because it's drugs, not, oh, how the cops going to know? They know. Police have drug recognition experts. Nicole, can I grab it for a second? Bring a pen. I'm going to wrap this up in about 2 minutes, guys. I just want you guys to have an understanding of the DWI is taken seriously because of prom. Part of my program was just overall safe driving. I want you and I want your children to be safe out there on the roadway. I saw what happened, and I don't want any of that stuff to happen to anybody here, okay? That's why I love my job now. I get to stop the problem before it happens. All right, three things that go on a DWI incident. The cop stops somebody. All right? 3 main tests, all right? One is walk and turn. They have somebody stand on a line like this. They take them to a safe side of the roadway, all right? And they're going to have them walk heel to toe. The officer will give instructions as to how they want it done. It's basically like 9 or 10 steps in one way. They'll turn a little bit like this, and they'll walk back heel to toe, all right? 9 or 10 steps back, the officer will instruct the person how to do it. That's the first test. The second test is called a one-legged stand. They'll have the person stand at their side, they'll give the person instruction, and then they'll have the person, whatever leg they feel more comfortable with, take the leg, pick it up off the ground, and they'll have the person count out loud. At a certain point, the officer will say stop and have the person put their foot back down. All right? That's the first 2 tests. All right? All right? Those are basically voluntary responses. I've had people that were alcoholics that could do that walk and turn test and one-legged stand test better than I could sober. Okay? Alcoholism is a disease, all right? But if you're an alcoholic, you have a high threshold for alcohol. So they can pass those first 2 tests. Here's the test that was foolproof. Nobody's going to beat this test. Cool, do me a favor. Stand here, face me, hands down your side. Now what I want you to do is, this is called the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. All right, and this is foolproof. Nobody's going to beat this because it's involuntary response. You can't control your body, which is your pupils on this one. You can't control what your pupils are going to do. It just happens. What I want you to do for me, okay, just look at the pen. All right, I want you to follow to the pen without moving your head. I just want you to follow with your eyes. Understand? And you follow to the pen. Here's what goes on in that test real quick, because we're out of time. What happens is, I'm watching her pupils to see if they follow. It's called smooth pursuit. I'm seeing if her pupil follows real nice and smooth. When I make it out to the corner of her eye, and I get that pupil all the way out to the corner of the eye, where she can't, the pupil won't go any further, her eye won't go any further, all right, that's called maximum deviation. If somebody's intoxicated at maximum deviation, this is what happens to the pupil. It bounces. The eye bounces. It's an involuntary response. If she was intoxicated, she would not be, she's not intoxicated, by the way. She would not be able to control what her eye was going to do. So what I'm trying to say is this. You're not going to be able, nobody is going to be able to bluff their way through the DWI checklist. The first thing these hotshot rookies learn when they come out of the police academy is they learn how to run people through DWI testing. That's the first thing they learn how to do. And you know what? They become pretty good at it. They become really good at it. So, the biggest reason why I'm bringing this up is I want all the kids here, and I want you, mom and dad, I want you guys to be safe. I've seen people die in car crashes as a result of somebody having too much to drink and somebody using drugs. I've seen people, unfortunately, go to the morgue, and I saw the other people come into our custody, and they went to jail. And they went to jail for, some of them went to jail for a long time. We're talking about a lot of lives ruined for no good reason. Okay? Hopefully you guys got something out of this presentation tonight. We're out of time. I will be around after if there are any questions. I thank you for your attention. Please be safe. Those guys, there's a lot of good information there. If anyone did not get a guide, we have more up there. I'm going to turn it over to Nicole.
Please give half the performance a round of applause. They will be speaking to your children on May 14th during Park in the auditorium, so you'll get the same consistent message home to your children. And what I didn't mention before that Mr. Mitchell reminded me of is that Mr. McCormick does his presentations for free. So we want to thank him for doing that and taking the time out of his day to do his presentations for us. If you did not sign in, please do so, because that's how you get your credit for coming tonight. And all the information is on that table, and I'll be here to answer any questions that you guys have. Thank you for coming.